Hello? Why is that music so loud? Get that shit down. Get that shit down. Oh, somebody reset my my YouTube audio. That's what's going on. Hi. Hello, it's Sunday. How you guys doing? Yeah. Sorry, I'm scooting closer to you guys so I can hear you guys better. Hi, Red. Elian, you were first. Welcome in. Enjoy being first. Hi, Rage. How you doing? Hi, Red. How you doing? How's everybody freaking doing? It is kind of a warm Sunday. I took a day off yesterday because as I said on Friday, it was my brother's birthday. Wanted to spend some time with him. For the most part, it was kind of quiet. He was very tired because I feel like I mentioned it on stream, but maybe not. He was in the LA area for the USA third match, I think it was, in the group stage. So he did. Apparently, he didn't even think about it, but his watch told him he ran or walked 9 miles that day, and I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. So yeah, we kind of just relaxed, played some games, watched more soccer. I forgot who played yesterday, but oh yeah, I think it was Argentina was part of it. Anyway, yeah, it was a nice chill day. I did a lot of video editing, and by editing I just mean like deleted like useless breaks, like starting soon and like any breaks that I might have taken. Hi, Solaris. Argentina mentioned, yes. Hi. I'm not a big Argentina fan, but that's just the team I remember playing yesterday. Today played Canada. Shout out to Canada. They actually won against South Africa, which I think everybody was actually shocked by, because Canada, as much as you might think from like being like a big, well-developed nation, not that good at soccer. They are mid at best. Bah. How you doing though, Solaris? Also, speaking of Star Fox music, because this is Star Fox music, has anybody played the new Star Fox? Apparently people are saying it's really good. Like, even if it's just Star Fox 64, but again, it's apparently really freaking good. And it kind of makes me want to play it, but unfortunately, I don't have money for the game, at least. Because on Thursday, this Thursday, coming, like this past Thursday, I got charged for my pre-order of Rhythm Heaven Groove, which comes out this coming Thursday, the 2nd. Praising Mecha Chameleon. I've seen that game, looks pretty fun, but at the same time, I don't have enough friends who want to play that game. I don't do well with party games because I don't have friends to play with, so yeah, looks fun. It's fun to watch. I've been watching like a bunch of different VTubers get in groups and play it, so anyway. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna be playing Rhythm Heaven on Thursday when that comes out. Maybe even Wednesday if I can play. Hi Bressy, hi Fudge, yippee yippee. I need more little guy emotes. What was I gonna say? The schedule for this week, right? So today we're gonna play more Sonic. I think maybe only like 2.5 hours ish, because this is a later stream than usual. 2.5 hours worth of stream. Tomorrow, if we haven't finished Sonic, which I fully expect us to not have Sonic finished, just because we have a lot of Chow racing to do. Like the stages, like there's what, 31, 32, 31 stages? Yeah, 16, 14, 1. Yeah, there's 31 stages left, so I have 31 hard modes to do. That's not a problem. I'll probably finish that in like hour and a half, something like that. There's probably double that in terms of Chow racing, just because of all the really long courses that are left. Rare Sunday stream, yes, we will not be having a Sunday stream for a while, unfortunately. It ended up happening just because I had my vacation, so who knows when we're gonna get a Sunday stream again. Next time I get vacation, maybe? I don't know. You know what? I want to see what the glasses look like on this model. I think they look nice. Blah. Blah. So yeah, so we got some Sonic today, probably Sonic tomorrow. I'm probably gonna finish it tomorrow is my assumption. If we finish Sonic on Monday, Tuesday, honestly Tuesday or Wednesday, one or both days might be hand cam streams, because I have some Pokemon cards that I want to open up on stream, because that's literally why I bought them. And I also have to do the Lego hand cam that you guys unlocked, and I figured what better way to do it than during the subathon. So there's a chance I do one, if not two, hand cam streams. I need to look up. Hang on, let me Google. Does anybody have a timer on how long it takes to make the little Eevee that I bought? Because I bought a little Eevee Lego. Build Lego Eevee. 1 to 2 hours. That's actually pretty good for a stream, for my kind of streams anyway. Okay, all right. Cool, we're good, we're chill. That's exactly what I wanted. We're chill. That's perfect. So yeah, so there's a chance we do one, if not two, hand cam streams this week. Besides that, Rhythm Heaven on Thursday, probably Rhythm Heaven on Friday. Friday will be the last day of the subathon. It'll be the last day that I'm off of work for vacation. And then I'm back to my usual Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. So for those of you guys that are looking to get the last couple sub rewards in for the subathon, you guys have exactly 6 days. 6 days? 5 days? 6 streams, I guess. Yeah. You don't gotta. I mean, honestly, we've already hit everything that's not a stress goal for me, so like I'm really happy. Well, yeah, that's what the week's gonna be. There might be a day where I take a break in there, maybe Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's what we gotta do. But I don't want to do more yapping. I want to get to the gaming because, again, the stream's a little later than usual because of just the fact that it's Sunday. But we got a couple follows while I was offline. And Ninja Sky TNT and TD Mender. I think one or both of them got subs. I enjoyed. Thanks for the follows. That being said, let's do some gaming. Let's just do some fucking gaming. You guys up for some gaming? I'm up for some gaming. Gaming with the GAY, of course. Thank you very much. We go over here. The game should be showing. Good. Let me make myself a little bit bigger on screen. How was my day? My day was, I'm gonna say okay. Just because I felt kind of hot today, just like uncomfortably hot. So I was just in bed kind of sweating and like drifting in and out of sleep. Not really napping, just like that kind of like really annoying, like random heat that you're just like, I just want it to go away. Start the timer. Cool, we're at 15 hours. Looks like we might finish the game at about 17 to 18 is what it looks like. Before I do anything, I'm gonna start on boss rush because bosses suck ass. They take forever. This is gonna be literally like a 20-minute stage.
I'm out of here.
Bye.
Finally decided to show up, eh? Okay.
Bring it on. I still can't believe you guys got me exactly to 6-7 subs, by the way. Bounce on him, Dio.
Hey guys, take care.
I wonder, I've seen people be like Sonic themed VTubers, but do you think there's Sonic themed VTubers that also have a spin dash toggle? That was easy? Yeah, a lot of the easy bosses are designed to be really easy. Like, look at this, I'm just holding forward and then attacking him.
My guard
Like a lot of the easy story bosses are really easy like this. I think the bosses don't get hard until technically the golem
Far, so good.
is late or kind of hard, kind of tricky rather than hard. I think the first really hard boss is more than likely in Hero Story King Boom Boo,
I think you're the
which is
hedgehog around here.
the third to last, fourth to last boss.
You're not even
Sorry about to check Discord notifications. I'm sorry, Ruby. I know I'm not usually live on Sundays.
There's no time to play games. You won't even get the chance.
Like technically, this shadow could be hard if you don't know what to do, and the answer is just go behind him. Also, I fell because
There's no time to
I got
play games.
what's it word? Homing attack jank.
You won't be able to just attack him. Try something to lower his defenses.
Hi, Pecunia. Wrapped up in falling relic weapons. Ooh, nice. What the fuck? Hit him. Thanks. Jesus. I'm the coolest.
I see. So you're not just a dog. Not bad.
My shadow is always hard.
Do you know who I am?
It wouldn't be a shadow at that point, would it? Relic, that's Final Fantasy 14 related, I believe.
Huh? Who's there?
Yeah, I think this is the first boss that I think gets difficult. And not really like difficult as in like you'll die fighting him. I think it's just challenging because it requires a lot of precision in terms of digging. Because you have to dig him out of the ground. You have to open up the sunlight, and then he buries himself when you have to dig him out. And you have to be right on top of his model. You can't just like dig randomly. So like it's particularly challenging there, especially if you were a child playing this game. So like this boss can be time consuming, not necessarily enough where you die. Also this boss, I think you can technically one cycle it if you're lucky. But I'm not going to. I'll two cycle him. I don't think I've ever actually been able to one cycle this boss. I'm not sure if you can. Maybe he speeds up on the third hit, and you can never one cycle him. I don't know. I'm technically a Sonic speedrunner, but I'm also not that knowledgeable about these little things. I just play the way I always play. Also, Ruby, what relic weapon are you farming? Is it the new one for the patch that I never played? Or is it an older one? Do they still have relic weapons in Modern 14? Because I don't remember. I know they had like Vanderbilt weapons and Endwalker. Is that the same thing? Hit him! Fuck! Knuckles! Oh my god, Knuckles didn't hit him. He got caught up on the wall. Well, that's like a 45-second time loss, something like that. Because now he does this again, and then he does the really annoying flame phase. Like, it's basically the same thing as the last one, but everything is just slightly, what's the word? More jittery. Like, he'll react to you way faster on this phase than he would in the other phase. Which is why I don't like 3 hits out of 4. I like 2 and then 2. Makes it nice and easy. I really want to get back on 14, but I don't know. I feel like I don't have time for it anymore. He walked into me, what an idiot. Die! Die! After this is Golem, which I think the Golem is a little bit more challenging just because it's a platforming boss. I still think this boss is technically easier than King Boom Boo, but neither of them are terribly challenging. Eggman, the second Eggman fight legitimately is hard. Because, like, I can't stop calling it this, but, like, the first hit you put on him, he might just randomly react by hitting you with a raw level 3. You just have to react and not just get your face exploded by the laser. I heard Jacob Alfred call it that when he played this game for the not for the first time, but 100%ed it for the first time. He called it getting raw level 3 during Eggman or Tails' second fights, and I'm like, that's like the perfect way to explain it. Like, he gets hit once and he just reacts with his strongest attack, and that's literally what happens. I remember being stuck on Eggman and Tails 2 for so long. I remember game overing as a child against the Eggman and Tails level 2 or fight 2. Next comes Rouge, which could actually also be kind of challenging, just because if you don't kill her fast, the floor opens up and sends you guys in the air, which makes Rouge land on a random ass one of these railings, and if you don't find her, she just starts hitting you with Black Wave, which is one of the multiplayer attacks, which just homes in on you.
I will take it from you. This can't be true. I never lose.
But if you just do that, you win. There was a chance I died there, by the way. I had 0 rings. I thought I picked up the ring that I dropped, but it was because I heard the ring pickup sound. It was actually Rouge that picked it up. Incoming! Alright, that was easy. He just stood still at the end for my laser blaster to home in on him. So this fight, the Eggman and Tails in space fight, it always lasts 30 seconds. And if it lasts 30 seconds, you die. If it lasts less than 30 seconds, you win. You cozy fudge. I hit him. How did I miss? Bum, bum. I forgot the bounce bracelet works on him. Makes this fight a lot easier than the shadow portion of it. You bitch. Bounce on him, Dio. Also, I've been off work for 6 days now, and I have 6 more to go. And man, I feel so good. Like, I'm tired because I'm not... Honestly, I feel tired because I'm not going out. I need more sunlight, so I might start doing that the next couple days. Is like just going out to get sunlight. Probably do it early morning too. Because it is summer, so I don't want to be out in the blazing ass heat. He is too strong.
Pathetic humans.
I'm just missing some vitamin C. That's my problem. I feel good because I'm not working, but I do feel bad in the sense that I know it's because I'm not going out to get sunlight. I'm pretty sure Eggman only wins this fight because he has bonus health. I don't think you can do that exact strategy if you just start the game.
I can't believe I've come this far just to fail.
This is Flying Dog headquarters.
Flying Dog.
Intruder found entering security vault. Preparing to attack.
Oh, he got me first. Got him. His name is Flying Dog because he sucks at flying. Dog ass. Ah, I was trying to hit him. I think you can actually do that because he moves faster than you do. Bye-bye.
Not bad, huh? I'm pretty strong, all right.
Rouge's design is so pretty. I hate that they messed with it. Like, actually hate that they messed with it.
Hey, that's... That blue hedgehog again, of all places. I found you. Faker. Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here.
Like, they haven't really messed with anybody's design, but they keep messing with Rouge's, and that kind of pisses me off.
Not even good enough to be my those words. You can't get away this time. There's only one real Sonic.
The only one they've kind of messed with the design is Sonic with his soap shoes, because they're no longer sponsored by soap. Ah!
That hurt.
That hurts.
No time to hang out with the likes of you.
Next is, yep, this one. Run. We're good. Oh god. That hit me. I believe it's technically more damage if you hit directly where the little cracks are. Crack. This would be Knuckles. Yep, Knuckles and Tails and Shadow. Then we go to last story bosses. There's a reason why I didn't want to do this when I did the other boss rushes, because I didn't want to do all these bosses 2 times each essentially.
Hand over those master emeralds. Give them to me.
Give them to me. Okay.
I have no choice.
I can't.
Where are you? Get him.
Protect
Like I said,
Master
Now
Emerald.
get it
you
out
fly in
and
the air
do
if you
it.
don't kill Knuckles fast enough. Tails time.
What have you done to Sonic? I'll never forgive you.
I'll never
for this.
forgive you for this, but guess what? Her ears are so wiggly. Yeah, she has physics. Incoming! She's the only character that really has physics. Like, every now and then you'll see Shadow with physics. And like his victory poses. But nobody else really has any physics besides Rouge. She even has jiggle physics, like straight up. Bullying Tails, yeah. The little kid who thought his idol died, just bullying him to death.
I'll use your chaos control.
Hi, Shaded. Well done, Faker. Uh-oh. How the hell did he hit me with that? If you're supposed to... Literally, the game tells you, hey, if he does a Sonic win, do a somersault. Didn't work.
I'll use your chaos control.
Oh god.
This. I'll use your chaos control.
That didn't hit him. Usually that hits him.
Control.
Oh, he wasn't spawned in yet. I almost had him there. I'll just do the easy way. Uh-oh.
I'll use your chaos control.
I wish we kept these rings after the fights. I don't think you do, if I remember. There we go.
I failed. I told you. I'm
Now it's last stage. How old is Tails supposed to be? Supposed to be older than Yeah, I think they increased his age pretty much every time they create like a new canon, if you want to think of it that way. I'm pretty sure the original like Sonic 2 when he debuted, I'm pretty sure he was 8. In this game he might be 10, maybe. He might still be 8 though, but he is a child. But I think they aged him up to be more aligned with the rest of the crew, with the crew still being older, I'm pretty sure. It's a Googleable thing, but I'm pretty sure Tails, at least in Sonic 2, is 8. I think in this game, he's still maybe 10, 11, 12. Also, I fucking love this song. Like, it's so chill. Uh-oh. Ow. That's wasting time because he stops every time you get hit. Which is also why it's weird that people try to ship Tails with anybody, because it's like Tails is technically a child compared to everybody else. I'm too far away, but I might as well. I'd rather be too far away than too close. This song is called The Supernatural, I think, right? I can't remember. I think it's called The Supernatural. No, The Supernatural. I think that might be Final Chase. I can't remember anymore. I used to remember all the names, like the actual like sub names for stage music and boss music. Like City Escape song, which makes sense, it's called Escape from the City. Green Forest is Can't Stop Won't Stop. Metal Harbor is, oh, which one is Metal Harbor? I can't remember anymore. There's fireworks outside in case you hear any explosions. Sorry guys. Alright, don't be too close. Don't let him fucking telefrag your ass. That's what happened last time. Okay, we're okay. This part's really fucking hard as a kid. Because you don't know what you can't jump there. You just have to do that.
Get out, you ugly prototype.
You guys ready for a banger though? I sure fucking am. How did that one hit me? Ooh, do you guys hear any crackling, or is that my headset?
Shadow, let me collect rings. He's still very powerful. What kind of monster is this? How are you?
Do me a favor, guys. Do you guys hear any crackling during the any of the music happening, or any of the sound effects? Because if it's not, it's my headphones. Yeah, like Tails' age varies, but I'm pretty sure in Sonic 2 he was like either 8, 9, or 10. might be the game, because not everything's crackling. Might be a weak spot. Sonic, aim for it. I might not get this particular one. It's in a very bad spot. Not any crackling. Okay. I mean, if you guys don't hear anything, it'd be pretty noticeable. It might just be my headphones. Which means I need to buy myself new ones. Wonderful. Sometimes it just spawns in a really easy spot. Other times it's in the corner. It's actually relatively hard to hit. We'll see what happens. If more of the game sounds like that to me, it's my headphones. If it doesn't happen again, it's just that. It was just this area for some reason. I thought the game froze. I forgot I had to press the A button. Alrighty.
Select a stage.
He was A in Sonic 2. I figured that. I was pretty spot on there. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start with Tails' A ranks. If you're wondering why, he makes kart racing easier. I'll explain what when he actually when I actually get there. Also, hard mode is. Are the others even 18? Nope, none of the characters are 18. I believe Sonic was designed originally to be like 15 or 16 or something like that. Amy was designed to be, I think, like 3 years younger than Sonic, something like that. Like she's younger than Sonic. Knuckles is, I believe, a year older than Sonic, and Shadow, I don't technically remember. I don't think his age is ever really stated. Because, you know, he is his age plus 50, because, you know, he got cryogenically frozen for 50 years. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Sonic originally was like 15 or 16, maybe, I think 15, and then Knuckles is 16. And I think Amy is like 2 or 3 years younger than Sonic is. But again, they have so many different canons that, like the Sonic Boom cannon and stuff, that they could just change that whenever they want. Which is kind of crazy to think about, right? That, like, Tails is this genius inventor and he's technically a child. Like, in this exact game, right? Like, you could be like, oh, in Sonic Boom, he might be a teenager, but, like, yeah, that's like 20 years from now.
Did you find the president?
Yeah. No, more like 15 years. So the hard part about hard mode, by the way, is not that it's actually hard. Like, there's more cars, sure, but it's really not that hard to dodge them. More of a stretch than a crackle? No, I don't think that's what it is. It was an actual, like, I could hear actual, like static. The hard part is the fact that you get less time. So it's actually kind of close when you reach the president. So it must have been just my headphones then, rather than you guys. What you guys heard probably was not what I was hearing. I'll go back in the VOD and listen to it. It was during Final Hazard, so it's really not that hard to figure out where it was. I'm way over the speed limit. Oh yeah, dude, do you think Tails cares about the speed limit? Nah, dude's a fucking fox. I think the speed limit applies to animals? I sure don't think so. Did I get an A? Is that a picture of an actual city in the background? There's a very good chance it's San Francisco. If you're wondering why San Francisco, Route 101. It's Highway 101 in Highway 101 in California. There's a very good chance it's San Francisco. I'm not 100% there, but if it is, it's San Francisco. Also, Tail stages are almost never about going fast, especially on hard mode. It's just play the fucking game. Oh, I didn't see him. It's one. And just get all the fucking combos you can. Especially these guys, because they just give you free 1500. And if there's any enemy alongside you with that guy, you get a free 2000 points. So yeah, there's a very good chance all of this is modeled like, hang on. There's a good chance City Escape, Radical Highway, Mission Street, Highway 101. Is that it? Maybe even Route 280 are all modeled after San Francisco. Like a very good chance that that's true. If you're wondering how I know all that, City Escape alone has the fucking the tram that that San Francisco's like very famous for. And this is very clearly modeled after the Golden Gate Bridge. This was just the era to be referencing America in. Oh shit, I forgot where the thing is at here. Jesus, that was a loud pop. I'm sorry if you guys hear any fireworks going off. I literally cannot fix that because people are annoying motherfuckers and just... It's bright fucking daylight out, by the way, and they're still popping fireworks. Oh shit. Careful. This will help. This will technically help me just get out. Okay, we're okay. Oh my god, I almost fucking died there. Okay, we're okay. Got it. The gold beetle's worth it. It's 1,000 free points. Run! Oh shit, it's this. I'm gonna die. I forgot that it does that. Yeah, I got just fucked by it was a knowledge check and I forgot. I got killed by a goddamn knowledge check. That sucks. It's crazy, isn't it? Tails doesn't have arm strength to handle that max. That is true. But if you also remember, Tails in Sonic 2 and 3, he is strong enough to handle the power of the Chaos Emeralds, so you know, don't you know, cut him some slack. Like he's a pretty strong fox. But yeah, no, for sure. Like the tornado is absolutely like a heavy ass fucking machinery, and he can hold it up with one arm specifically. Like not even two. Like you could see him. It's specifically one arm. No, 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 no. Oh my god, we fucking clipped the edge. That's one thing I hate about this. Not this stage, but the mech in general. If you clip the corner and you don't clip up, you're just fucking falling. Hitting the gym behind Sonic's back. Listen, he is friends with Big the Cat, and Big the Cat can pick up a fucking car. Like, here's the thing, I'm not even dying because I'm going too fast. Like, the first death, you can say potentially because I was going too fast. I didn't give myself time to look at what was happening. The second time, I got killed by Jank. Like, I got hit by an enemy, and then in the mix of trying to save it, I clipped the edge, and it's a known fact that if you clip the edge with the mech, if you don't pop up because you're far enough above it, you just get stuck, and you fall as if you're not hovering, even if you are hovering. Yeah, says Tails, the fucking fox. Alright, I'm gonna slow down, kill this guy first so he doesn't just jank me out. Don't worry, Tails, I still love you. I still love this stage. Like, legitimately, I love this stage. It has a lot of pitfalls, but Mission Street's really fucking good. Is the fighter jet out? It's not. I thought it was. Alright, take my time. Now we go. Up it's again. We did it! We survived! The rest of this should be a fucking cake now. There's no more pitfalls, it's just random enemies spawning. Just need to get as many points as I can. Ow. Losing rings doesn't matter because you already get the points for them just by picking them up. The fuck? I had the fucking the collision box if that thing already fell before it fell. That's kind of bullshit. 40k, I think that's guaranteed. Oh yeah.
I did it, Sonic!
Okay, next will be an easy one, which is gonna be Prison Lane. I'm gonna do all Tails first and and maybe do some Chow racing. Specifically because I do want to leave some stuff. I don't want to do just Chow stuff as the finale because I feel like that'd be kind of boring. But clearing one character's things will actually make things easier in the kart racing, as I said. And I will prove it in just a hot second. Look at this Kaizo bullshit. Did I have a Dreamcast? I did not have a Dreamcast ever. My first introduction to Sonic was this game, actually. It was this game, and then Sonic Mega Collection? What was the GameCube one called? It wasn't the Dreams Collection. This game's so much. Oh my god, this game's so fucking good, Alien. So hi, Alien, how you doing? This game is jank, and I fucking love it. I have hundreds of fucking hours in this game, if not thousands. And that's not even counting, like, that's not even all Chao World either. It's just majority Chao World. Sonic Unleashed, that was your first game? But yeah, I forget what the collection was on the GameCube that I had. I think it was the Mega Collection. Because I know there's the Mega Collection, I think there's a Dreams Collection is also one, or the Gems Collection or something. I think it was specifically the Mega Collection. Anyway, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It is Sunday, it is the start of the second half of my vacation week. Or the second week of my vacation, or should I say? Make it easier. So I'm kind of excited. It's having a good time. Enemy spawns here, that usually doesn't. Is it one or two? It's just one. Is the golden beetle still here? I forget. It is still here, just in a slightly different location. Please break. Open up. Yeah. But yeah, it was the Sonic GameCube compilation that specifically had 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, and it had 3D Blast, Sonic's Mean Bean Machine. Oh wait, it's this. I can look it up. I missed one. Let me look it up right now, actually, while we're getting the thing here. Is it called Sonic Mega Collection?
I did it, Sonic!
It looks right. What games are in it? Hedgehog, 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, Spinball, Machine, 3D Blast. Yep, it was Mega Collection. Because all of those games that I just listed, like mumbled, were exactly the ones that I played. Mega Collection, Spinball, Mean Bean Machine, 3D Blast. I never finished 3D Blast. I kind of want to. You bitch. That one I just forgot to jump. Oh god, I'm dead. Oh, because I turned left, I died. Because you get knocked back in the direction opposite of what you're facing. I'll be okay now because I know he's there. Oh my god. You'll be thinking, how did I just fall off the edge there? Slight tank controls this mech has. I just realized this entire game technically has very slight tank controls. Because the way Tails moves is actually how Sonic and Shadow move also. Just to a lesser degree. I missed 100 points there. No, 200 points there. I almost fell off the map because I forgot to hold the A button press. It's kind of really hard to hold the jet button and the oh my god, they're big. And the homing, the laser button. It's for me it is, I don't know why. I don't have a fat enough thumb for it. Careful, there's a gap there. Mind the gap. Yeah, I got fat bombs. Careful, fat bombs. No, red bombs, which are, yeah, explode on contact rather than on a timer. Oh my god, they have this bullshit. But yeah, like I said, those rotating platforms only in this stage. Okay. Careful, Tails, careful. Okay, we're good. How about? Can't reach it. Tails, you bitch. Okay. Ooh, I think this is an A rank. I mean, I got combos on pretty much every group of enemies that I could. Okay, and I didn't really dilly-dally, that's why I was like, should be good. All that's left is my favorite stage, Eternal Legend, baby!
Select a stage.
And with this, you get 2 emblems. Ooh. I forget which one is the right way to go. Is it this one still? It is. Sweet, take your sweet time. There was a trap under that guy, that's why I didn't actually kill him. Shit. Okay, I'm gonna have to do this. Take it slow, because Zethi's active. There we go. Still 1,000 points. These are a lot smaller, which means I can't do the same skip that I usually do. Oh my god, they almost flew into me. Cool. Usually still there, yep. Take my time, don't kill myself. This might be a little known fact, everybody, but killing yourself in video games when you're trying to get a score-based objective, it's a bad play. It might be what you call suboptimal. Shit. Careful. Shit. Careful. Oh my fucking god, it scared the shit out of me up there. Ooh. Okay, I saw that coming. There's a very good chance I die in this section, by the way. They have so many jump scares like that. Okay. We're okay. Don't blow anything up here. It'll literally just kill me. At least until I'm past it, that is. Don't leave it all alone. Yep. We're okay. Don't blow this up either. Not until I'm past it, at least. Now we can blow it up. Shit. Okay. Yep. I think usually I'm supposed to be done by this stage by now, or with this stage by now. Thanks for the free health, and those rings just glitched into the air. Old beetle still here? It is. Perfect. Oh yeah, these fuckers are here now too. No, no. Oh my god, he's still hitting me. Oh lord, chill. How did I dodge that last one? I wasn't even expecting it. Ow. Oh. Should be good still.
I did it!
52k, we got it.
I did it, Sonic!
Should be +2. Show enough. Ready for rainbow text? We got some old school. Look at that. It's fucking clip art from old school Photoshop.
That will do. That will do.
So clearing all of Tails' stage unlocks a new cart. Clearing them with all of A rank gives them a new costume in 2-player.
Kart racing.
So anyway, full kart racing. Guess what? There's a bonus. I get to be a fucking Chao. The thing about the Chao, really fast, really light. Like to everybody else, you play as just, you know, yourself. I think Eggman's just, I think it's Eggman. Yeah, I think it's Eggman. Plays as you play as one of the egg robots from Sonic Adventure 1. Also, you're not supposed to catch up to these guys in the first lap. But this guy's so the cart is so fast that you can actually keep up with these guys. Like you're supposed to lose until the game decides you're not gonna lose. Also, do you hear the engine? It's not really an engine. It's like a kid's toy. I fucking love this. I love the fact that you're just a fucking chow in a cart. I'll show you guys everybody's cart once we get 100%. I'm pretty sure it's Eggman that has the one I'm thinking of. It might be Rouge actually. I was trying to do a skip, but I don't think there's a skip in this this course. I think it's the higher courses that have a skip. And we win! And that gives you a medal. Sorry, an emblem. 2 more to go! Bleh. Bleh. Vroom. What's funny, I think the fastest, like the technical fastest speed in the game, I think it's Shadow's alternate cart, but Shadow's alternate cart I believe also has the slowest acceleration, so you just get your shit rocked for the first like 20 seconds of the race, and then once you hit max speed, nobody can catch up to you. Yeah, no, I don't have enough turning. I'm gonna lose, I think, because I'm this cart. Funnily enough. Get out of my way, Sonic! Ah, baby coming through. You know what would be better for this cart is if you could choose which of one of your chows to actually be in the cart, rather than just like this generic normal chow. I think that'd make this cart a lot cooler. No, I got my boost. Use the boost to get through. Or if you're an F-Zero fan, you've got boost power. You get a boost every 20 rings. Oh, go! Okay. He crashed out. Oh god. I wish there was a way to look back, but there actually isn't, I don't think. Okay, that's 2. 1 more. I'm just doing this right away because it's really not that crazy. It's kind of the most mid part of the game because it's kind of a boring kart racer. But this course has pretty cool skip, and by skip I just mean you just clip through a ceiling. And I believe it's this one and maybe Shadow that can do it. I just need enough rings, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it in time. If these guys get in my fucking way. It's right here, but I can go faster. Whee! I got my boost. Also, if this is modeled after San Francisco, where are where are there these hairpin turns in San Francisco? Then again, I've never been to San Francisco, so I could just be wrong. Like this could be an exact course, like track from San Francisco. I don't know. You guys ready for the big jump? Big jump! It's so fucking funny. He's just so light that you can just do that. Oh, those rings just respawned. I didn't see them before. Oh god, careful. I'm going so fast, I'm not giving the rings time to respawn between laps. Wait, I use my boost. I don't get my super jump. I just get a big jump. Go, little baby, go. Go, little baby, go. Oh god. Good thing is, after this, I don't have to do this fucking kart racer no more. I think the kart racer is unfortunately just one-on-one too. Alright, kart racer's done. Oh, we're at 140. I didn't even bother splitting for this shit. Happy 16 hours! Back to this. Let's do a couple Chow races. I have a lot of Chow stuff to do, so you should do some of that. Oh god. Chow Karate is gonna be fast. There's only 4 tournaments. Those are pretty quick. It's this fucking shit that's gonna take forever. Jesus Christ. Alright, come on, buddy. Oh yeah, I forgot the Jewel Chow that I got for these. They fucking suck. Also, for those of you guys that have been watching the stream, I'm using a Chow World mod. Using different codes to make training easier. The races aren't any easier. And if I win the Jewel race, I get a Chow of the particular color of the Jewel race. Which is not vanilla. But you can't get these colors because you can only get those colors before by a Sonic Advance 2 connection with the GBA cable, but you can't do that shit on the PC port. Pretty sure you can't anyway. They got rid of it. Like the Chow farewell area used to be a like a GBA, but it's just say like Chow connection or some shit, but now it just says Chow goodbye or something like that, Chow farewell station or some shit. It's really sad. Plus the Jewel Chows were not easy to get. They were expensive. They were as expensive as the eggs are in this game, but you don't get as many rings in Sonic Advance 2 as you can in this game. I think the most I usually get in a Sonic Advance 2 stage is maybe like 200 rings if I don't get hit. Whereas here, you just play City Escape, you get 400 rings if you play play well enough. Wait, did I not do this race already? Am I stupid? Did I just redo a race? Because I remember doing that course at least. No, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Peridot, isn't that red? No, Garnet's red. Peridot, what color is Peridot? Is that blue? No, not blue. It can't be blue. Because we have Aquamarine, which is kind of blue. It could be. I forget what color Peridot is. Or is it Peridot? Is it French? I'm ready to turn my closed captions on again. It's on. We have it. What color is Peridot while I'm Googling? Peridot. Oh, it's green. I was right. It's yellowish greenish. I guarantee you as a kid, I had no idea what most of these colors were. Aquamarine, I'm pretty sure I knew because Aquamarine is like a pretty common color in like crayon, right? But like Garnet, Peridot, Topaz, I had no fucking clue. I didn't know gemstones. I think Onyx I knew. I might have mistaken it for Onyx the Pokemon. There's an Onyx course, by the way, which you will get by beating the first 4 races. Go, my friend. I just want one shot to have all the jewels, just because, I don't know. Feels nicer. Feels cooler. Oh, they've all evolved! Look at them, they're Sonic Chows! Usually the bluer they are, the faster they are, so I think number 2 is going to be the rival. Maybe 7. Who's bluer? I think 7's bluer. Yeah, looks like 7's the rival. God, it looks so much like Sonic from the back, it's kind of crazy. Sorry, am I stimming a little too much to this music? I apologize. Run, little baby! Why am I so slow every time? I'm not tripping. Is he just taking a suboptimal path every time? He's just taking a suboptimal path every time. Somehow the first race we did was the most optimal in terms of pathing. Green with the colon 3 faces. Which one's my rival here? I guess number 8, basically? Oh yeah, number 8's the only one that... Oh, he tripped. He's the only one that's doing the Naruto run. Also, I've been stimming with my phone randomly because I got one of the phones with the stylus, so I've just been randomly just drawing on my phone in while I'm not doing anything. Not even just drawing anything. I'm just drawing random bullshit. I'll draw a smiley face or a kitty. One more out of this at least. Oh yeah, number 2 is the scary one. Number 2. Oh my god, he's keeping up. Oh shit. Oh, this is bad. Oh no. I have to use some stamina to catch up. Okay, he tripped. We're good. We're okay. He tripped. I tripped. So we're basically even. The rest of them they're no threat to me. It's just the one that tripped that's the scary one. Okay, we're good. We're okay. We're okay. Did he trip again? He should be way ahead of the pack. I think he tripped again. Oh no, he didn't trip. He's there. He's ahead. Not by much, but he's ahead. Maybe 118 here because of the trip. Oh, maybe 16? Yeah, that's not that bad actually. We finished! Now he has a green gem on his chest. Oh my god, he tripped again and he didn't even win. He didn't even win because he tripped again. What the fuck? A book. A book with the same page on every... or same image on every page. Let's do a challenge race. I want to hear the best music in the game. Are we racing now? The ghost group, look at them. They're basically called the ghost group. All they have is the bat lack of feet and the skeleton dog the flame ball. And and they have some skeleton and pumpkins on. Okay. Oh, that's the long course. The long course. No. Also, the voice, making the random noises, sounds like fucking Goofy. Boom. I wish eating that fruit actually gave him stamina. Then again, it'd just make you like spam it in the beginning and just because you're gonna get it back. I guess it makes sense why you wouldn't. I think this is the Onyx course. This particular one, because it's the longest one in the game. Sonic doll! There's 5 again. Why is it always a Sonic doll? It's not usually that. Sometimes it's the square fruit. Sometimes it's the triangle fruit. He's not gonna get it right. Motherfucker, you're stupid! You're stupid! Anytime they do that, they're not getting it right. You're an idiot! Why are you so stupid? He's fucking dead. My Chow can't be this stupid. I mean, I guess as long as he's lucky, I suppose. Jesus Christ. Please tell me he gained some intelligence after that fucking ass beating he took by Omochao. God, man. Fuck. One more. I'm gonna give you redemption. He is back. I still don't know who he is. My assumption he's from Sonic Adventure 1's Chow races, but I have no fucking idea. Well, he's actually as fast as I am. Yo, he figured that shit out quick. Boom. Run, little body, run. I wish I gave you a name, but you don't have no name, so run. Oh, come on, please. You know what a Sonic doll is this time, right? Right? You know what a Sonic doll is this time. Okay, I guess getting his ass beat upside the head. He learned what a Sonic doll was. We're good. I don't think he'll ever get that shit wrong again after that ass beating he got by Omochao. I like how sometimes the Chow doesn't do like the constant thinking that proves he's wrong and just vehemently believes he's correct after one thought, and he just still picks the wrong answer. It's really funny. It's like, I know what this is, and just grab the wrong one. Oh, which one are you going? Oh, all the way at the end? Oh, is this lucky or not lucky? Oh, lucky boy! Lucky, lucky boy! Okay, actually, I want to do a dark race. I just realized I haven't done any of the dark races. I did one or two hero ones. I need to do a dark race, which require this buddy here. New battle, baby angels, baby angels. Honestly, dark race kind of has not great music. It's a little too childish for a race, if that makes sense. Yes, it makes sense because they're angels, but still. Oh, ad break. Like this part's actually pretty nice. Does not sound like racing music though. Oh my god. I think after this race, I'll go back to do some more stages. I don't want to burn out of try racing, that's it. I still have to make how many? It's 3, 6, 14, 19, 29 more races? Jesus. I think it's 29 if I'm counting correctly. Yo, it's the organs! I think this is not technically vanilla in Sonic Adventure 2. I think it's cut content technically. Give me my green buddy! You better have better stats than your compatriots. If not, you're going to school like the rest of them. Come on, buddy. You better have good stats. Oh, you have the sad face. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry if you are worried about being born. Oh, don't be scared, buddy. We're checking your stats right now. I press it too much every time. It seems maining season? What the fuck? You just got born. Chill. Gloriously mid. Get to class. You guys too? Get back to class. Learn how to sing. Get your asses back in there. Save child data. Let's do some more stages. What should I do? Rouge? Knuckles? Let's do Knuckles. We got some bangers. Let's do it. You guys ready to chill out with some amazing Knuckles music? Also, I know where all of these things are without hints. There's one. Number 2's over here. Too far up, unfortunately. I forget. It's right here. Number 3 is all the way over here. I just wanted to get them in order to show you guys that I know where they're at. Never get to me, I'm just go creep down Pumpkin Hill to find my lost piece. I know that it's here. Sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. Gotta hold my head, I have no fear.
I found him.
I'm gonna save Aquatic Mine for the end, and that's my favorite stage of them all.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Bruh.
Select a stage.
So next we go Death Chamber. Oh, where did I'm gonna be honest. I forget where Death Chambers are at. I know where 2 of them are at. Where's the first one? Where the fuck is the first one in Death Chamber? I know where the second 2 are at. Give me a second. Oh, I know where this is now. You bitch. What teleporter would it be at though? I remember where it is, I just forget how to get to it. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's actually not through here. I think it's back this way, the other way. I think it's this way. I believe it's in through here. Oh, it's not. Ah, fuck. Oh my god. Alright, give me some hints. Oh, fuck you. Where the fuck am I thinking about? Why am I mixing up? Alright, I'm just gonna get all the hints. I forget. I know it's something like that. I just... Where the fuck is it? I guess that's the only one I'm actually not remembering very well. The other 2 are easy. The room with no entrance, and I know it's that, but where is it if it's not where I was going? Is it between blue and green? Is that what it is? It's actually there's no more hints here too that I can just grab for free. Yeah, there's not. What am I missing? What am I forgetting? I'm legitimately just forgetting something. Oh, I'm stuck. The hell am I missing? Oh, it's through here? Why did that just flash green? It shouldn't have. Oh, it's actually through here, that's why. It's between green and blue, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, we got this. The other 2 are literally a cakewalk compared to that one. Because I actually remember them. In between blue and green, which is this way. Isn't it this way? Am I going the wrong way? I might just be actually going the wrong way here. Oh my god, I am. I'm a little stupid. I should have gone through green, actually. Let me do that. I don't want to waste time. Okay. I could give you 2 hints there as if they like expect you to just fuck up. No, 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 no. Bitch. Oh, which one is it? This one? How the fuck did I remember that? Like, actually, how did I remember that? Well, okay, this stage is now solved. You fuck. This way. What the fuck? What the fuck? I forgot these big ghosts are here. Okay. The next 2 are actually a cakewalk compared to that. God damn it. Both of them are in this secret child location. It's kind of funny how the first one's actually kind of hard because it's like you don't know where the fuck you're going. It's an invisible room. You have to just blindly look for it. Whereas the second 2 are just like, hey, they're both literally within 50 feet of each other in this very hard area that you need the air necklace to get through, because if you notice, there's no air bubbles in this area. Also, don't go up first because there's a white that'll kill you, so do that. Knuckles, please. I think this is the 3rd one now that I think about it. It is. Oops. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Did I? Oh, I fucked up. It's higher up, that's why. Isn't it? Wait, what am I messing up here? Wait, it's not where I was. Is it one higher? Excuse me? Oh, it's just back here, that's what it is. I'm a little stupid again.
I found him.
For some reason I thought it was up there. No, that's where the chow is. Sorry, I drank some dumb bitch juice on the way to stream today, I guess. Still an A.
This is perfect.
Select
Hang on. Sorry, I messed up my splits. Death or Meteor Herd, these should be a lot easier. I already forget where they all are, but I'm pretty sure I remember. Oh, I definitely remember now. This way? In here? Yeah. I think what happened is somebody blew up the meteorite that was supposed to be here. Yep. So this is jank as all hell because it actually depends on how long Knuckles punches it for.
Two more left.
So there's one. Oh, I remember where they all are now. Nope. Sorry, I do remember them, but not. I didn't remember them perfectly. Now I remember them. Can't fly or climb. I'm just gonna float. Hope I don't die. Sorry, hang on. Need to find a very specific platform. This one? Yeah. How do you know this? I believe it's if you get enough hints, it just tells you where to go.
It's closer. One more left.
There's that one. Like you were not supposed to get that just willy-nilly because it's just randomly in the air. The last one's just as annoying in terms of like it's just bullshit, but if you know where it is, it's realistically just pretty easy. God, every time I look at the sub number is 6-7 just pisses me off. I hate that joke so much, but thank you guys. Think it's here? No. I forget what the red enemies are. It's one of these, but I can't remember. Might be the floor under, but I think it's just these. No, it is the floor under because you can't jump from there. Yeah. Not you, but I'm gonna double check. Oh, you hit me. Imagine he kills me. It's here.
It's closer.
Just as annoying as the second one. You're not supposed to know these. Like, you're not supposed to get them just without hints.
Yeah, this is perfect.
You know what, just for fun, we're gonna do Wild Canyon as well, just to say we did all 5 Knuckles missions at once.
Stage.
Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. There's a one.
It's closer.
I missed, but here comes number 2. Oh, damn it. Please. Being underneath the platform sucks ass. Number 2. As I said before, the way you're supposed to know. Sunglasses.
It's closer. I found him.
Me. Otherwise, it's like a 1 in 8 or 1 in 9 if you just assume you don't have the sunglasses.
Select
Anyway,
stage.
aquatic mine time. So, the first one you should always get is up here.
Two more left.
Another one that's behind the Chow area. Gotta do it, you gotta stay out of line. One time someone to just chill and lay. but I'm the protector of the emeralds and gems. I seen knuckled up. I'm in a deep cut. I'm seeing skulls that burn. They're trying to cut me off. I'm feeling kind of stuck. I'm in narrow hallways, running like it's a ball game. And tracks be tracking me to different doorways in a maze, and I don't know what to do. Can't repeat though. I'ma find the emeralds. Don't call me Knuckles for nothing. I can't lose. And blows all the time, but I gotta do it. They always stay out of line. Just chillin', man. But I'm the protector of the emeralds and gems. And the last one is right down here. I believe you have to have the water raised again to get this last one. Because the water raised gets those like floating platforms out of the way. Like this thing up here. That would be in your way if you didn't have the water lowered.
It's closer.
Easy peasy.
I found him.
And that's
This is perfect.
Knuckles done. I just realized I'm leaving all the dark, Team Dark till the end.
That will do.
But
That will do.
I guess it's because I didn't want to do 2 mechs in a row. That's why I did it that way.
Select the stage.
But now we'll do Shadow. Even though Shadow's the coolest, I'll do Shadow first out of the Team Dark. Three points, baby! I like how you just put random rails in the way, just so you just have to jump a little more. They got rid of 2 of the springs just so you have to hit dead center, which is kind of funny, by the way. Is Big the Cat still here? He should be, right? Yeah, he's still there. Now, instead of just like hanging off on the blimp, he's hanging off the edge. What if they give you invulnerability there? There's not really any enemies you're fighting. As always, I skip this because it's just kind of annoying. There is enemies there, but it's just kind of annoying. Go, Shadow, go! I like how they just moved the gold beetle like completely instead of just slightly off location. I knew that was coming. Ah, I missed points. That sucks. As Yugi would say in the hit anime Yu-Gi-Oh! You just lost 200 points! Sorry, I've been in a little bit of a kick of watching all the best old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels. Specifically with the Pharaoh involved, so Duelist Kingdom, Battle City, the Orichalco Saga. I have no idea this is an A, by the way. This might be a B. Oh, we're good.
Ultimate victory.
Select a stage.
White jungle time! The white jungle was actually pretty changed compared to normal. There's just a lot more bullshit. I did not want to get hit by that, but that's fine. I just wanted the points, not to lose the rings. Kill them all. Oh, thank God I got him before he turned in electric again. Go! Run, Shadow, run! I missed rings there? Usually you're in dead center and never miss rings. Woo, woo, woo. Is Big the Cat still here? He should be, right? He's on the next one. Like how they make this shit harder by just giving you the invulnerable enemy in your way. Oh God, you motherfucker. A falling light dash is actually pretty hard on to be honest with you guys. It'd be harder if you were Sonic, because if you were Sonic, you just straight up, if you fuck up, you do the bounce bracelet bounce and you just fall straight to your death. Big the Cat! Oh, I missed it. God damn it. 1,000 points I lost. No! Oh my God. I think this might be a B because I lost 1,000 points with the gold beetle. Like, legitimately.
Here we go.
Oh, no. Got it. We're okay.
Victory.
Who the hell took off my veil? When did I take it off? I know why I took it. Who took it off or what took it off. I pressed the button earlier.
Select a stage.
I usually have toggles be slightly harder to trigger, but I forgot to do it for these new ones. Hydrate threats? Okay, when I finish this stage I will. Because Skyrail is no longer, you know, not much longer than a 2-minute stage. Even Harden was not that much longer. Well, I'm good. I can do now. Thank you though, Ruby. Honestly, dying or not dying there doesn't matter. I haven't hit a checkpoint. It's just faster to hit the restart instead of falling to my death. Oh my God, he homed in on his attack, not on the fucking thing. You fucking asshole, get out of the way. I forgot Shadow and Sonic could do that. Did I crash into one here? No, we're good. Oh my God, I do. Oh my god, I paid attention. Very good. They make this so much harder by just having those things only go up half the mountain. Don't miss the free points, thank you. Gold beetle there, but there's no way I'm getting that. Bum, bum, bum. Uh-oh, camera angle. $1,000 points. Cool, easy peasy.
Here we go.
Is this number 150?
Ultimate victory.
This might be number 150. Am I done with shadow stages already? God, I just need final chase left. That kind of sucks ass. That really pisses me off. I hate how there's only 4 shadow stages. Like, that really sucks. I love shadow. Oh, he attacks a lot faster there. There's still rings on here. Yes, there is. Wait, Shadow, grab that thing. Gives you free points. Same there. Also, the hard part about Final Chase is just a lot more meteorites just randomly in your fucking way. He's still here? He is. I fucking love Final Chase, man. The song, at least. The stage might be a-okay, but I love Final Chase. I like Final Chase a hell of a lot more than I like Final Rush, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's a guaranteed death if you don't kill the guy. Oh. As in, like, you just can't reach the area. Uh oh. Again. There we go. Don't need the rail, you can just jump over. The angle sucks, but you can reach it. God, fixed angles suck in some stages like this. That for the free points. Get the shield so I don't fucking die. Hi Fudge, you having fun spinning? You have to jump there or else you just fall to your death. Also, again, skipping the entire stage just by doing that. Or the entire section, I mean. Run! He hit me, I was trying to go under it. There's a Phoenix up here, by the way. It's a lot easier to get in normal mode. Careful, careful. God, the whole design philosophy of Sonic is really funny. Because they tell you gotta go fast, but then they do this shit in hard mode. Like, let's just put impassable electric fences that you just take 1 billion fucking damage to if you don't slow the fuck down. gotta go slow. Yeah, literally. Like, oh, it's hard mode? They don't expect you to go fast. Nah, go slow. Slow the fuck down. Oh my god, chill. I'm glad I realized I noticed he was attacking. Like, at least a stage like City Escape, you do, for the most part, go fast. But the later stages go on, you don't really go fast. Like, even Pyramid Cave, right? Like, Pyramid Cave in Sonic's story, even on normal, like, for the most part, you go pretty fucking fast in that stage. Like, yes, there's, like, the puzzle sections, but if you're even through that, you could go pretty fast through them.
Here we go.
Okay, Shadow's done. Unfortunately, I hate the fact that only has 4 stages. I still lament it.
Ultimate victory.
Technically, even Rouge only has 4 stages, if you don't count the kart racing stage.
That will do. That will do.
So she has Dry Lagoon, Security Hall, Egg Quarters, Mat Space, and then Route 280, but I don't count Route 280.
Select a stage.
Let's do a 1 Chow race. Let's do a Chow race per character, actually. Maybe that'll be better in terms of pacing. Excuse me. Like Chow Karate, I don't mind putting those all back to back to back because they're relatively fast. But the races, so much repetitiveness in the races. At least the dual races. The challenge and the Hero in Dark are different courses, different characters you're doing, but here it's just the same characters. They're just getting a little stronger every race. I mean, technically it's the same thing, right? Like they're all the same races, but like, I don't know, it feels different. Wait, is this a different course? Wait, no, we're doing the swim course now, that's right. Or power course, that's what it is. I was so confused. I'm like, wait, were we doing a different course? I'm like, we literally were. It'd be funny if you could triple climb it and you just fall straight down. I think that'd be silly. Also, I really like how the Chow courses, if you notice the map on the top left, they kind of handle like Olympics courses, right? Because Olympics courses, they use the same like venue, just different like arrangements, and it kind of feels like that. Go, buddy, go! Run, buddy, run! Sorry, every now and then I have to shake the titties because it's just, oh my god, I can't believe it really feels like there's so much different compared to the previous, the 2.0 and rather this is technically like what, the 2.1. It looks and feels so different, man. It's crazy. Oh, you see, there we go. Onyx and Diamond. So Onyx is, what is it? Brains and Luck, I believe? Yeah, and then Diamond is just everything mixed. Go turbo, baby. What, do you want me to turn on all my physics to 100? Is that what you're saying? Maybe I'll do that at the end of the stream. Maybe that'd be funny. Yeah, let's do it now while the race is happening. Why the fuck not? Physics! Let's do it for science! Physics. 100%. They're going crazy. Look at them go. Look at them go. Anyway. We're back. Go, buddy, go, buddy, go! Did I trip? No. Next. Is this number 4 or number 5? I don't remember. I think it's only number 4. Number 3, oh my god, it's even worse. Oh my god. Oh my god, what the fuck is up with that guy's horn in number 2? Oh, why is it going back instead of up, buddy? I think number 3 is the scary one. Why are some of them so far back? They're supposed to go up. Number 7 is the scary one, actually. What's funny is that this is my Chow's worst stat, so thankfully there's a lot of running involved, which is his best stat. So even though the one guy is like incredibly strong, he probably has in stage 5 he probably has more power than I do, but because he's not as fast, I can outpace him. Honestly, does anybody find Omochao kind of disturbing? Like, he's a Chow, right? But he has, like, you can't, he doesn't blink, he doesn't eat, he looks like a stuffed animal. You can technically fly, I guess. Oh my god, racing is so repetitive, man. Alright, I might do... I think I'll finish Eggman up tonight and then leave Sonic and Rouge and the rest of Chow for tomorrow. 3 hours of Chow racing. Yep. That's what it'd be if I didn't mix it up and... Cheers to 3 hours of Chow racing. I mean, if I didn't mix it up and actually do, like, you know, stages in between, it would legitimately be 3 hours of Chow racing. If I went from 0 stages played in Chow racing to beating every single particular race, oh yeah, it'd be 3 hours for sure. My guy, why you go for the first one? That's suboptimal, man. So hi, Walker. Watch some 180 emblems in the Vicky's Surf chat. Wow, the speedrun is interesting because I don't think it's that long. So I wonder how they do the Chow races. Because the speedrun can't be like 5 hours long and 3 hours being Chow racing, because there's way more than that in terms of gameplay for like other stages. Like, you can only speed everything up so much. Last one, then we do Eggman stages, and then we finish up for tonight. Number 8 is again the scary one, the bright as red Knuckles looking one. He's always so happy. It's funny. I remember this Garnet race is always the scary one. Is like straight up, like always like really happy, smiley, and like bright red like that. Did he trip? Oh, thank God. I think he tripped. But yeah, no. Chow racing, if you do it from start to finish, it's 3 hours. Just the racing. If you do the raising as well, that adds at least like 3 more hours because it takes 3 hours to raise from egg to a mature adult, which you need an adult of Hero and Dark to unlock the Hero and Dark races. Shocker, you need a Hero and a Dark Chow to unlock the Hero and the Dark races. Go! You just took a suboptimal turn there. You could have gotten a new record. Oh my God, a pogo stick! We can pogo now! Anyway, that's the last Chow race for now, and we have a Garnet egg now. Who's singing? Aw, he's a cute singing. He's a really good texture, by the way. Alright, are you gonna be smiley like the other one? He has the grin. No, he does have the little face. He has a little smile. It's hard to tell because of the texture, but he has a little smile. He's the smiley one. Alright, you better have good stats or else I'm gonna be pissed. All of my Jewel Chow have been jack shit. Anxious and stressed out. That's me. Average. one of every rank is quite literally average. It makes sense for him to have an A in power though, because he's red. Literally average. Get your ass to school. Learn how to dance. Oh, spin dance. All of you guys, get your ass to spin dance. I just don't want to bother with them maturing outside of the outside of when I wanted to raise them. I do that all the time. Okay, Eggman time.
Select a stage.
Then we'll leave Sonic and Rouge, which are 2 of my favorite characters, to the end of the no tomorrow. Oh God! Scared the shit out of me. Holy fuck! That's cool, actually. Wait, did I not? Hold on. Did I not get points for that? Did I get the bonus points for like the 9 combo that I had? I think I did. Because I got hit, and usually if you get hit, you lose a combo. Chill, my guys. It's scary this time because they actually shoot back at me now. Oh my God, chill. Can't see. You can still make it through there with it for free. Also, there's one more enemy in this stage, and I guarantee you he's gonna knock out my rings. Oh, we're good. He activated early.
Now you know why I am the best.
I am the best. Looks like we'll finish the night at like 57? 58? 58, I think the number is.
Select a stage.
Weapons bedtime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, so it's 6, 159 actually. Careful, buddy. Now you know my real power. Incoming! They make the platforming in this stage so much harder for some reason. It's kind of crazy how much harder they make this platforming. Ow. Now you know my real power. Oh, there's Big the Cat again. I didn't realize Big the Cat was in this stage twice. Uh-oh. He is? What, Big the Cat? I didn't realize that second one was there. I knew the first one was there up there in the left corner in the beginning. That's one thing about this game I don't have memorized is every single Big the Cat location. Oh god! What the fuck? He just zipped away from me. He got his hit and he was out. You bitch. Oh yeah, I'm getting good combos here. There's always an enemy that spawns here. Yep. Didn't take that away from this stage. That one kind of jump scared me though. Is this good enough? I think this should be good enough. 29k? I think that's good.
Now you know why I am the best.
Yes. Yeah, looks like we're ending at 158 tonight.
Select a stage.
Sand Ocean next. We have Sonic, we have Cannon's Core, we have Rouge, and we have Chow's. Honestly, I think Sand Ocean might be Eggman's best stage song. Lost Colony might be pretty close second, but I think Sand Ocean takes the cake. Sand Ocean, the run killer. I could see that. Sand Ocean, the run killer. I could see that. I never did a dark story run, but I could see Sand Ocean being the run killer because you don't have the jet boosters when you first play it, so you're probably trying to eke out like hard jumps on cycles probably. Is this thing still here? Yeah, it is. Cool. Because the stage isn't that bad after you get the jet booster, but you don't get that until like halfway through the story. Okay, this one's funny. Oh, doesn't it have like... I thought I had like 4 of those barrels. And I'm not gonna do the little glitch to get infinite points, because I don't know, I feel like that's kind of cheap. But that's just me. If I don't get an A rank because I just didn't combo well enough, well, that's just me. That's a me issue I gotta deal with and play through the stage again. Yes! I think 26k should be good enough. I think 25k was probably good enough.
Why, I am the best.
We'll leave Cosmic Wall for last, because that's a cool stage. So we will go for Lost Colony next. Oops, I missed 2 of them. Ow. They shoot so fast. Now you know my real power. Oh my god, they're the laser ones. I didn't realize it. And again, platforming randomly. Is it this one still? No, it's the right one this time. They just flip which one's the right platform that actually goes up. Oh my god. Is there? No, there's not. I was looking for the multi-hit enemy. This guy. Oh, I killed him already. What the fuck? When did I kill him? Now you know my real power. Why does he sound like Weevil Underwood when he says it? When he says that line? Uh oh. I'm okay with losing rings. I am not okay with dying. Oh god, they're all going after me. I just need at least 12. I knew the fucking thing was here, that's why I waited. And go. Oh god. Assholes. Holy shit, I didn't realize I was there. I did kill myself. I actually forgot that you could blow up the ground there. Need to take my time on that now. I legitimately forgot that you could blow up the ground on in that hallway. By the way, that was basically the end of the stage too. I kind of just got fucked. The enemy just looked at me and was like, "Nice job, idiot." Sonic is its in this game. I just haven't played him. I'm saving his stages for last because you might be surprised to learn in Sonic Adventure, Sonic stages are pretty fucking good. But yes, out of the entire game, I think you only play Sonic for like a sixth of it. Not even like the fact that there's 6 characters. Like, out of all the stages that you get to play as Sonic, it's only about 1/6 total. Like, yes, he is 1/6 of the game because there's 6 characters you play as. But what I mean by that is you'd expect there to be more Sonic than anybody, right? And there technically is, but it's not more than the average. Wait, I got him without having to jump up? That's funny. Now you know my real power. That guy just literally spawned in front of me. Not even like spawned around the corner and floated at me. Nah, he just spawned in front of me. Alright, take my time here. Oh no, this isn't the one. Oh shit. Oh my god, we're good. Here is where I have to be careful. One more group that spawns right there. Alright, now we're good. Is Big the Cat still up here? I forget. Out of the 7 hours of speedrun you play with Childs for 3.5. Oh, this is, yeah, okay. Well, if it makes sense that it's also the only thing that you can't really speed up, which would explain why it's so slow compared to the rest of the game, right? Because you could do like speedrun skips for everything, right? But not, hey, look, it's Big the Cat. Not for Char Racing. That one takes actual real life time. Real life time and without mods, a lot of repetition. Am I done yet? Almost. I almost didn't jump. My jump input didn't go through and I noticed it. Ow. That's a lot of points. That's more than I remember usually getting on this stage.
You know why I am the best.
One more Cosmic Wall. An 8-minute stage, so we'll be done with this stream at about 10 o'clock Pacific. It's even funnier how this game starts with this stage starts with the shield as like, hey, you're about to get fucked up. Be prepared. but there's so many enemies that I'm getting a free 2k combo pretty often. Oh, my combo broke, so I didn't get points for that. That sucks. Run! I could have gone 2k there, but they attacked me too fast. Jesus Christ. Anytime I hear the pop of a fireworks, it fucking terrifies me. Oh shit. Also, this stage is all about depth perception, because if you fuck up, you might just fall to your death. Okay. I forget what the score requirement is for this stage, but it's insanely high. You bitch. I got this shield and I'm gonna lose it in 3, 2, 1. Oh, lucky. I killed the enemy that was supposed to hit me. That one I fucked up on because my laser blaster was occupied. Now you know my real power. You bitch. I was too close to him. He triggered before I could see him. This is one of the few stages you actually have to worry about your health on. Because it is extremely long and they do not give you very many like ring or health pickups, I guess. Is it a health one? No, it's just rings. You bitch. Stop. He literally might just kill me. Yep, I saw that coming. He was attacking faster than I could drop. Oh, I lost all my points, so we gotta start over. 5 minutes wasted. Yip hee hee. What happens is usually these enemies let you attack first, but in hard mode they activate before you do. They attack before you can react most of the time. That sucks. I guess you could say their aggro radius got increased. I guess you can explain it that way. And there's so many enemies that if you don't target the right ones, your laser blaster is gonna be on cooldown, attacking the wrong enemy while the one that is actually in front of you fucking murders you. In other words, all I'm saying is I need to get good. It's a skill issue. be honest, I don't really think I've ever died on this stage. As an adult, that is. I'm sure as a kid I have. Oh my god, Eggman, you were still falling. I thought he dropped already. Look at that shit. The motherfucker's not even near me and he already attacks me. Yo. Fucker. Yo. Also in this area, combos don't matter. It's literally just dealing damage. Those things despawn really fucking quick when you're out in space. Alright, let's not fucking die to that motherfucker again. Camera, thank you. Fucked up. Oh my god. Eggman, please. Camera, please. Alright, I have a shield. Means I can kill this guy without worries. You motherfucker. I'm trying to get combos. I think that's my actual issue. Get the combos once he's dead. That's probably the better way to do it. I've yet to take any damage. Why did I get a speed boost? Guess the game wanted to give me a speed boost. I need to be very careful here. That's why I need to be careful. Yep. He's activating a lot sooner, so I have to stay away. What the fuck? It's fine. It's fine. Now you know my real power. Alright. I don't know what the noise is in this area, but it's happened in every single version of this stage. Holy shit, chill! It feels like it's enemies, but I also don't quite know. Oh god. Oh my god, I just noticed. Alright, alright, alright. Also, I realized these things that give me like massive combos, these like spinning things, have they have no point value associated with them. They're purely there for combos. I guess I should say not no point value. They're just 20 points rather than they're the same amount of points as environmental objects rather than enemies, which are usually a minimum of 100 points. Don't die, 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 don't die. Don't die, don't die. Give me health. That's not health, but that's close enough. Just don't fucking die. Come on, Eggman, you can do this. Just don't fucking die. Oh my god. Okay, we're dealing, we're managing. We're at 100k points, which is usually the limit for this stage. Okay, as long as I don't fuck up, I win. This thing can still hurt me, I'm pretty sure. That's why I always shoot it. I think this thing can always shoot me, because otherwise why would this be like a section? Oh, he shoots them if you get close. I didn't realize that. I actually did not realize that those things shoot out if it gets closer. Oh.
Now you know why I am the best.
Yeah, 158.
That will do.
Oh. Let's take a look at these guys as carts, and then we'll stop for now.
That will do.
I believe it's Eggman, that's the one I'm thinking of. He has the robot car.
Select this. Kart racing.
Yeah, Tails has this. Knuckles, yeah, he just has like a futuristic one. Shadow has the really fucking cool racer. Look at this shit. Oh no, it's Rouge. Knuckles has this, like the egg car looking one. Rouge has a different one, that's what it is. Anyway, we are done for now. We are done for today. We will hopefully finish this game tomorrow. So let me go back over here. Put the music back on. And then stop the timer. Remember, we're at 17:35. Somebody keep note. I'm kidding, I'll do it myself. Okay. Save that. Cool. Alrighty. We're done for today. I will be back tomorrow with more Sonic. More than likely the finale. I have a very good feeling that this will be over next stream, because we have just a little bit of Chao Racing left. I mean, like half of it, realistically. We have probably half the Chao Racing left. We have Sonic and we have Rouge left, which is actually not that bad. And Cannon Score, but Cannon Score is just one stage. So we should hopefully finish this tomorrow. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna go get some water and, I don't know, sit and contemplate life for a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like doing that tonight. But yeah, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Okay, have a good night. See you. Mommy make out Monday. Okay, bye.